Have you ever noticed on the biggest stages, with the brightest lights and the stakes the highest, usually it's not always the lead actors that step up, it's the X factors, the supporting actors, if you will, that end up making the difference in games like this. We got TCU, we got Georgia, dogs and frogs, I like to say. Who are the supporting actors to keep an eye on? Who are those X factors? I'll just say this, not to toot our own horn, but we've done this segment a few times for other games, and we've typically been pretty spot on. So enough shameless promo there. Who are those X factors? I'm going to tell you, I got a couple for each team that I think will end up being difference makers when that trophy gets hoisted at the end of those 4 quarters of play. The first guy that I'm looking at to be an X factor in this game, how about tight end Oscar Delp? Now, if you're a Georgia fan, you likely already know who Oscar Delp is, was a 4-star coming out of high school, number 2 tight end in the entire country. He's going to be a dude for you for a long time in Athens. A cool 6'4", 225, so he's got some mass to him. He's a baller. But the reality is, Darnell Washington may or may not be available to you in this game. Now, you hope and you pray that he is, but if he's not, that 12 personnel, that 1 running back and 2 tight ends that you like to play with at Georgia, well, you're asking a lot then of your freshman. I think he can answer the call to action, but it's very imperative that he does for Georgia for them to be successful. And you say, why is it so crucial? Why does it matter? You can just plug and play tight ends. Well, Oscar Delp will have a large role because of what they ask of the tight ends. When you go out there in 12 personnel, if you're Georgia, you force that defense to match you with size. The way they like to say it, when you put mass on the field as an offense, they better match you with mass on the defense. Because if we have 2 big human beings, and Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp out there, you better match big human beings, because when we run the football, those big human beings are going to go and block your nickel or your safety or whoever it is. If they try and match up with us, you have issues. Now, when you can get in trouble as a defense, if you want to overcompensate and say, you know what, we're tired of getting beat down, man. We're tired of your tight end just coming in and driving our defensive backs into the ground. We're going to put an extra linebacker or a heavy safety or whoever it is there that has more mass to match with them. Well, then the bet is, can they cover Oscar Delp? Can they cover Brock Bowers? And living in 12 personnel is just something that the Georgia offense does. And when I say 12 personnel, I do mean this 2 tight end set. It's who they are. And Oscar Delp will have a very big role if Darnell Washington is not able to go. Even if he is able to go, conventional wisdom would say he's likely not going to be 100% by game time. So Oscar Delp, I fully expect the freshman will have an impact on this national title game. And that would be just like college football. For a guy like Oscar Delp to have a huge day in the national title game, keep an eye on him. If you haven't yet subscribed, we got you covered here, man, on the On3 YouTube channel. All year round, 12 months a year. This is your show, The Hard Count, the On3 YouTube channel. We're keeping you locked and loaded for all things transfer portal, recruiting, games being played, spring ball. You get the gist. We got you, all right? So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in with us. Also, Nick Brake and I going to be at this game, which is absolutely phenomenal. So pumped we're going to be at this game. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD to stay up with all that we're doing there, to keep an eye on all the sights and sounds that we're going to be posting from my social media feed. Also, posting player props, or game props rather, for this game on my Instagram. So at Jody Pickell, again, make sure you are following me there. We can have some interaction. It's a good time. Another X factor for this game. On the TCU side of things, how about Millard Bradford? The safety, number 28, 8 total tackles against Michigan. So what that tells me for Millard Bradford, they're asking him to fill in run support a fair amount. And you and I know, and every single person's going to say this because it's true throughout the course of this week, the structure of TCU's defense, 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. Most importantly, of those 5 defensive backs, you got 3 safeties. You're asking those 3 safeties to help fill in the box. When I say the box, I mean that imaginary rectangle around the offensive line, the defensive line, stretching back to the linebackers. You ask that safety to roll down a little bit more. So Millard Bradford not only will be responsible for helping in run support, he's also going to have to help match up with those tight ends like we just talked about. He might have to be on Brock Bowers. He might have to keep the top locked down when A.D. Mitchell tries to go deep. Might have to have some extra safety help. So for him, I think he is crucial to the tempo of this game. Because if he's able to fill really effectively and they're able to minimize the damage on the ground for Georgia, I'm not saying you make Stetson Bennett beat you. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm saying is it minimizes the damage from a tempo perspective. Then you're able to, in theory, get off the field a little bit quicker. You're able to not just die the slow death of Georgia going power right, power left, inside zone right, inside zone left, and you're just getting gashed 7 yards here, 8 yards there, 5 yards there. Like Millard Bradford being able to fill effectively would help you stay honest in your structure because you don't have to add somebody else onto the field to help stop the run. And then also you're able to play the pass effectively because he's a safety on the field. So that's the hope. But a lot of it, for my money, hinges on a guy like Millard Bradford for TCU being an X factor in this game. I promise you, it will be very, very much evident early on in this game how much they're getting from this safety group. And Millard Bradford, like I said, will be a very big part of that. So keep an eye on 28 for TCU. For Georgia, how about another freshman? You recruit well at Georgia, and the reality is you can't keep them all off the field, man. Michael Williams has had a great season for Georgia, defensive end for them, number 13. He is a freak show, okay? He is a baller. Right around 3.5 sacks on the year. He's going to make a point to get to the quarterback. Now, if you watched our prediction and preview for this game, you know that one of our hinge points is Max Duggan being able to ad-lib. Does he get to do it or not? There's other things that play a factor in this that we've talked about before with Jamal Dumas-Johnson and Small Munden and what they can do, but at the end of the day, you need your defensive line to get home. And Michael Williams, his combination of size and speed and length, I think make him a worthy candidate of someone who could pop in this game. If nothing else, he'll be responsible for helping to contain that Max Duggan ad-lib that could potentially happen. Because if Max Duggan gets to ad-lib and if Michael Williams and his guys on the defensive line don't get home, well, then you ask your corners to run around with Quentin Johnston and run around with Tay Barber, and that's just not a good deal for anybody, man. It's hard to cover those guys for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, a standard football play. To do it for 7, 8 when Max Duggan's extending plays and playing Pirates of the Caribbean back there, like that's just not the kind of world you want to live in if you're Georgia. Needless to say, it would lead to some bad things happening for you. All right? So Michael Williams is absolutely an X factor for us. How about one more? How about Amari DeMarcado? You remember him from the college football playoff game. You remember what he did to Michigan. Ripped off a 70-plus yard run to set up another touchdown for TCU. Had over 100 yards on the day. He popped in a very big way. Kendre Miller, at the time of us recording this, is listed as questionable per Sonny Dykes. So, if you don't get Kendre Miller, or even if you do, you likely ask something of Amari DeMarcado. And it will be so important for him to have an impact on this game because for TCU, if they can run the ball at all, if they can have some, I'll put the number at 4 yards a carry. If they can be at 4 yards a carry, that will allow them to be multiple offensively. Because then you're asking Georgia likely to commit a little bit more resources to the run game, and then you allow less attention on the outside to your freak show receivers. Like I already mentioned, the Quentin Johnstons and the Tay Barbers of your program. You allow them to have more impact on the game. So Amari DeMarcado will absolutely be a guy to watch. Also in pass pro, we said Max Duggan being able to ad-lib, a lot of that goes back to your running back, being able to chip effectively on the blitzing linebacker or be able to get him around the edge when he does roll out. Whatever it is, Amari DeMarcado will be an X factor in this game, whether he gets the start or whether he plays in a supporting role behind Kendre Miller. He will have an impact. So all 4 of these guys, I fully expect you to hear their name in critical moments, and I expect them to have a very big impact when that trophy is hoisted in SoFi Stadium. Oscar Delp, the freshman tight end. We don't know about Darnell Washington yet, my guy. This might be your time to shine. Staying in 12 personnel, being able to effectively threaten that TCU defense and make them off balance, a lot of it hinges on the freshman. Very excited for that. Millard Bradford, safety for TCU, run support and just pass defense. We need him to do something for us if we're TCU. We need him to consistently fill that gap and do his job in run support, and then also matching up with the tight ends. I really think a lot of this game is predicated on tight ends versus TCU safeties. Line of scrimmage, of course, is always going to dictate that, but I'm just telling you from a matchup standpoint, tight ends and safeties will tell us a lot about this game in the early going. Mykel Williams, another defensive lineman for Georgia. He's been really good this year. Combination of size and speed. Can he get home? If he doesn't get home, can he keep contained? If he doesn't do either of those things, Max Duggan will have some room to work. And the Heisman Trophy finalist having some room to work, I'm just telling you, if you smell something in the kitchen, it's because he's cooking. You don't want that to happen. Mykel Williams will have a say in that. Amari DeMarcado, whether Kendre Miller's 100% or not, he needs to have an impact. Running the football and pass pro. I'm setting that number, yards per carry as a team for TCU. If you can be right around 4, I think you have a decent chance in this game. Now, our prediction is already out there. We told you who we think is going to win. Go and check that out on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, @JodyPickell. We're going to be at this game, man. I'm so fired up. Thank you for allowing us to do this. Thank you for making this all happen. And thank you for adding to this community. If you haven't yet joined this community and subscribed, now's the time. We'd love to have y'all. No time like the present. So lock in with us. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.